Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convo. I'm Noelle Marshall and I'm here with my beloved.
Greetings everyone. Welcome to Thursday night. Thank you, John, for being here. Thank you, Leanne, for inviting John to bring his gift to the shift in humanity. Looking forward to this next hour and a half and sharing it with others on Facebook and through our archives with everybody that realizes they're called to get this information from John. Thanks for being here.
Thank you all. And we're going to get started in just a little bit, but I see there's some new faces, some new names here. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. And even if you know about the Co-Creators Convergence, we just have our May newsletter out. So you'll also learn about the guests we have, the conversationalists we have coming up in the month of May. So if you would just please stand by. So that is a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence, and I hope you're as excited as I am about the guest conversation that we have coming up in May. So I'm going to turn it over to our hosts for the night, Leanne, my dear friend Jeanne White. All right, let me tell you a little bit about my dear friend Jeanne Fortunato-Heltzel. She was born a creative empath, and Leanne is most comfortable unearthing her next grandest adventure, exploring what is possible within the possibilities of human potential and integrating these new traits into practical applications. She has decades of exploring spirituality and human potential through Leanne, and that has led her to trust more and more in her own extraordinary capacities. She has now started a new phase, which I would say part of her evolution has come to meta art and ocular meditation that was birthed during her development of Creativity Camp and immersive meta process. In 2019, she was guided to begin channeling specific frequencies that would support humanity at this time and to support our spiritual evolution. She continues to listen to source and follow this higher compass to her own next evolutionary unfolding. And she invites us all along, and her ocular meditations are extraordinary.
Oh, thanks, Noelle. I am so excited for this conversation tonight with you, John. So everybody, this is John Pehrson, and he is one of the foremost teachers of applied intuition. He's co-author of Intuitive Imagery, a resource at work, and that's what we're going to be playing with tonight. He's the creator of a new system of mystical numerology and the author of Mystical Numerology, the creative power of sounds and numbers. And these are both tools to help people unlock their full potential. And together with Jeanne White Eagle and astronaut Edgar Mitchell, he is also co-founder of the Interstellar Community Foundation. whose purpose is to liberate our full human potential, achieve planetary consciousness, and take our place in the cosmic community, an amazing organization. And he's also a member of the Evolutionary Leader Circle and a project of the Source of Synergy Foundation. So welcome, John. So excited to have this conversation.
Thank you so much. Well, it looks like we have a fairly intimate group tonight. So maybe we can start by doing just a little bit of a centering.
That's it. Thanks.
So, it'll be short. If everybody will just get comfortable in their chair, kind of allow your shoulders to relax and drop, and the muscles in your face and jaw to kind of relax, and allow that feeling of relaxation to go down through your body, all the way down to the tips of your toes. And if you would, we're going to take 3 deep breaths. We're going to take a breath and we're going to hold it at the top, and then we're going to exhale and rinse and repeat. So what we're going to do is breathe in love on the inhale, and then when you breathe out, I'm going to ask you to send that love radiating outward to everybody here on the call and everybody around the planet. Okay? So here we go. Take a deep breath, breathe in love. Hold that love at the top. Exhale and send love out to everybody on the call. And again, breathe in love. Hold it. Breathe out love. One more time. Breathe in love. Hold it. Breathe out love. So thank you, everybody. Welcome to the conversation. Leanne is going to be my shepherd going through the conversation. She will prompt me with a few questions as we go along. And I just want to say that, first of all, we're going to have an experiential part of this. And it would be very helpful if you have a paper and pen to be able to jot down a few notes when we do that. So, yeah, if you got a paper and pen handy, please have it available.
Fantastic.
So let me just start by saying I'd like to talk about this intuitive process that I've been working with for over 30 years. And it has a unique ability to kind of harness your intuition on demand. And it's a very valuable tool because, we live in a world, I would say we're in a transition right now. We're in a period of transformation and birth into a higher level of consciousness. And birth is a little bit messy. And we're experiencing accelerating change, a rapid increase in complexity, all the environmental stresses, the global conflict, all of that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's hard to maintain your center and be able to really make decisions in that kind of a environment. The beauty of this process is that it's a simple yet profound way to access your intuition whenever you want to do it. And as we all know, intuition is very powerful. It can offer deep, deep insights that sometimes just blow the intellectual mind out of the water. I'm sure all of you have kind of experienced that in your own life path. In fact, one of my favorite quotes about intuition is from Jonas Salk, the guy who developed the penicillin. He said that intuition will tell the thinking mind where to look next. And Einstein also said, the intellect has very little to do on the road to discovery. So, intuition and imagination are very powerful. And this is a tool that I want to show you tonight where you can be able to harness both. And one of the things that makes this process work is that we are all connected. We're all connected mind to mind in the field that connects everything. And there's been lots of research on that. I mean, David Bohm suggested a long time ago that we live in kind of a holographic universe. And each of us are pieces of that hologram. And each piece of the hologram has access to the whole. This is a process that can help you harness that ability. So I'm going to, one of the things I would like to ask you to do tonight is just relax and have some fun.
I love that we're going to actually be able to have the experience actually, going through this process. But what I'm curious about right now is where did this come from? Where did this process come from?
Good question. I learned this process back in I think it was 1989. I was working in DuPont at the time. I was a technology manager. I was managing a technical group that was responsible for not only customer service, but also for new product development. And I was looking for ways to speed up decision-making. And so a person by the name of Magali Rodriguez Mossman taught this process to a few of us inside DuPont. And she had been a nun and she worked with migrant workers. And when she introduced this process, she called it light work. Like bringing in light. Okay. It was a way to access this light and bring in light. And she had a partner called Carol Ann Lieros, and Carol Ann Lieros was a psychic. And I remember that we had a couple of times where we took some time, like a whole weekend to spend with both Magali and Carol Ann. Carol Ann would teach us psychic abilities, and Magali would teach us more about this process. So what I did was I was very intrigued with it. And, I'm a chemical engineer by training. So I have a scientific background, but I was also open to new possibilities. Mm-hmm. So I began to work with this process inside DuPont, which was a fairly conservative company, right?
Yeah, that's
and I began.
Progressive. That's pretty progressive that they even let this in.
Well, I'm not sure they knew that I was doing it at the time, okay. But I was working with the process, and I had some good success in being able to do a few things with it in the business environment. One was to speed up product development. I mean, everybody in the business, especially if you're in product development, you want to do things quicker, cheaper, and faster. I mean, quicker, cheaper, and better, right? So, if we were putting money into developing 3 different products for the same market, how would we know which one was going to be best, which one would be best received? There was not, this is a process you use, particularly in cases where you don't have enough data to make a decision. But if we could identify which product was going to be best, we could focus on maybe the top 1 or 2 instead of developing 3 or 4 at the same time. That saves money. It helps us get to the market quicker. The other thing we did was I was able to look at our competition, and I was able to predict that one of our competitors was going to exit the market. And the results of that intuitive imagery actually did come true. The competitor that I was looking at the time actually did leave the market, and was able to give us a kind of a ranking of the strengths of our different competition and kind of what they were up to. And it did this through harnessing this intuition. Okay. And so I actually put together a team that we called the SWAT team. SWAT stands for Special Weapons and Tactics, right? And so we put together a SWAT team where we we're able to play with in a serious way, to play with this process inside of a company to see what we could do to speed things up, make better decisions, quicker decisions, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's fascinating. So, and when we had a conversation a few weeks ago, you told me that you've taught this in like 10 countries.
Yeah,
And all
around the
over.
world. Well, I left DuPont in 1993, started my own consulting business. But you know how life takes you on a different path sometimes. What happened is that Jeanne and I were in Russia. Jeanne tells this story better than I do, but we were in Russia in September of 1995. And there was an experience we had where we were a part of a 6-man team bringing a process to Russia called community building. It was something that M. Scott Peck developed, and he had an organization called the Foundation for Community Encouragement. We brought this process to Russia by invitation because there were 2 Russians that had come over to the United States, experienced it in Atlanta when we were teaching it there, and they invited us. So we went over. Well, anyway, one of the guys on our 6-man team, 6-person team, teaching this process to the Russians in post-perestroika Russia, right, was a guy named Rusty, and he was very deep into Native American spirituality. And he had a dream for Jeanne. And he came up one morning and he said, Jeanne, I've had a dream, and it's one of these voiceover dreams, and it's for you because, you were identified. And I don't know if I can remember the words, but he said, what the dream said was, bald eagle from the 4 winds. The grandmothers or grandfathers are calling Jeanne, and they cannot find her. That's not exact, and Jeanne could correct me on it. But what happened is we had no idea what that was about. So when we got back to the States, a series of events wound up leading us to a Native American mystic by the name of Beautiful Painted Arrow. His name was Joseph Ryle, Beautiful Painted Arrow. And Joseph kind of turned everything upside down. And we began to, I had left the corporate world. I actually, after meeting Joseph, there was an amazing thing that happened. There was a mystical experience that told me that I was supposed to be on a spiritual path, and that my life was going to change. It was going to change rapidly. And what happened after that was, to my amazement, I was running around the country doing executive coaching work. And all of a sudden, all my clients just disappeared. I mean, they dried up. I had no more business. So I knew that I had to be on this spiritual path. So Jeanne and I began teaching workshops around the world. Our income went from like both of us making 6 figures to both of us making 0. And we said, what are we going to do? And actually, it was Joseph, Beautiful Painted Arrow, that said, well, what can you do? And we said, well, we can do this and we can do that. He said, well, do this and that. What are you going to charge? He says, it doesn't matter, just charge something. So we, on a song and a prayer, we went around the world, sometimes with $40 in our pocket when we got on a plane going to places like Germany, and no return ticket, and began teaching workshops. And one of the workshops I began to teach was about intuitive imagery.
Wow. Well, speaking of Jeanne, can you tell us the story about how you used this process to decide if you should get married? I love that story.
Oh, well, okay. This was back in, I guess it was early 1995. It was in the beginning of February of 1995. I was just in the process of starting my business, starting my consulting business. And all of a sudden I got a call from an executive recruiter. We call them headhunters, right? This headhunter gave me a call. and he wanted me to come in and interview. Well, a fair amount of my time in DuPont had been spent in textile fibers and in carpet fibers. Okay, so I had a lot of knowledge about manufacturing of those things and marketing them. Okay, I also was a business strategist inside DuPont, and responsible for growing those markets. Anyway, this headhunter called me in for an interview. I went for the interview. He gave me a specification sheet, which I took home. Well, this was a British company that was starting a polypropylene manufacturing plant for carpet fibers in North Carolina. And that's what they were interviewing me for the position of general manager. So I got back to the house, and we had a small office in the place we were living in at the time. And I handed Jeanne the spec sheet, and I was working on the computer. And Jeanne was reading down through the specifications they wanted for the ideal manager. And one of them was to be married. Well, Jeanne and I weren't married at the time. And we had both just come out of other relationships, right? So Jeanne is reading this. She's sitting on the floor, back up against the wall, reading these specifications. And she says, "Do you think we ought to get married?" And I said, "Gee, I don't know. Maybe we should. I tell you, let's do the imaging." So the way this process works is that you, instead of asking people like the real question on what the alternative is, you ask a guide prompt like see a flower or walk down a path, meet a person, that kind of stuff. And when the person that you're asking that gives you the images, then afterwards you reveal what the real alternative was. Well, Jeanne and I did this process with each other that night, and we both got yes, get married, and not only get married, but get married that month, which was February of 1995. So, most of the time I tell people, if you get 2 yes responses or 2 responses that are the same response, trust it, because 95% of the time it's the right answer.
Yeah.
So what happened was this was a really important question. So we did it the next day, and we both got yes. And we did it 3 more days. We did a total of 5 days, twice each day. And not once did we get it done. We got 10 yeses, and we got yes, get married this month.
Wow.
So we finally said, okay, uncle. And we arranged to be married. It was February 19th. It was on the beach in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And it was raining all through the night. When we got married on the beach, it had stopped raining. There was a beautiful rainbow out in, where the sun was rising, and there were whales in the distance, and we could see blowing water up through the blowholes and stuff. And we got married. We went back inside, and it started to rain again. So anyway, that was the story of using intuitive imagery for a very important question.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
we've been together. We've been married ever since 1995. So
I love that. It's a beautiful story. So obviously, what you're talking about so far, we can begin to understand the benefits, but so it sounds like it's something anybody could learn?
it's easy to learn. It takes a little practice to be able to trust it, right? Because if you use it to make decisions, you're going to want to build up a track record to say, yes, this process gives me good answers. But if you use it, it has a lot of benefits. One of the biggest benefits it has for Jeanne and me, and I think we use it just about every day, from the sublime to the ridiculous. Jeanne does an imaging that did an imaging with me last night about whether she should take a Tylenol before she went to bed or not. So, but we also use it for some very important things. And one of the things I like about it is that in this chaotic world, with all this change going on, and it's accelerating, you can feel pretty uncertain sometimes. And once you learn this process and learn to use it and trust it, it takes a lot of the uncertainty out of life, because you don't have to agonize over questions anymore. All you have to do is just say, okay, well, let's do this process and see what it says. And then you can go from there. But it has other benefits as well. It can, you use it over a period of time and it kind of hones your intuition. You find out your telepathic abilities begin to strengthen. It can increase your confidence. It can allow you to see the probable outcomes of a decision that you're trying to make. All of those are benefits. So yeah, the other thing about it is it's kind of fun.
Well, it must be. And it sounds like it's just become such a natural piece of your daily life that, like you said, you use it for mundane things, you use it for big decisions.
Yeah, to tell you what, do you want to do it?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to know how this process works. So yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to do this, but the easiest one to learn is to do it with a partner. And your partner can be anybody, actually, because again, it works because we're all connected. Jeanne has done it to try to make decisions in a department store on whether to buy something or not. And she'll go up to the cashier or something and say, hey, would you help me out with the process? Tell you what, just imagine that you meet a person. Tell me who you meet. Okay, meet another person. All right, so which person steps forward? And what she's doing is she's making a decision on whether she should buy this or that, or buy this or not. So you can use anybody as a partner. What they're doing is kind of being an oracle for you. But it's let me demonstrate the process with Leanne, and then we'll do it. And then we'll do it with the group, and then we can talk about it. And you can ask questions. How about that?
Okay. I'm a little nervous.
You're what?
I'm a little nervous.
Oh,
I don't know
well,
what's happening.
the best way to do this is to just relax, let go of any expectations, and just kind of be a kid, have fun. So full disclosure, Leanne sent me a question that she was on something that she wants to decide ahead of time. And I'm going to use that question. And it was something that was important, but something that she didn't mind sharing with the group. So I'm going to share the overall question with the group, and then we'll do the process, okay? Yeah. The overall question was, Leanne was asking whether she should focus her business attention this year on gaining corporate clients or reaching out to individuals and doing individual clients. So, Leanne, you ready?
I'm ready.
Just relax, and you can do this with eyes open or eyes closed, whatever is comfortable for you.
Yeah.
But so to begin with, just imagine a structure and describe the structure briefly to me. Tell me what you see.
Any kind of structure?
It can be any kind of structure.
First thing I saw was a castle.
A castle?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else about the castle?
Just, it kind of looks like Cinderella's castle. It has like the turrets and the little flags on top, and it's rather elaborate.
And how do you feel about it?
I like the way it feels. It feels very whimsical and fun. You said to have fun, so I think that's where I went with it.
Is there anything you change about it?
If I could change anything about it, I would make it even more colorful, like rainbow colors. Oh, I just did. Now it's rainbow colors.
All right. All right. So here's the next question.
Yeah.
Extending outward from this Cinderella's castle, there are two paths. There's path A and path B. I'm going to ask you to walk down path A at the, first and tell me about the path.
Yeah, it immediately took me into a dark forest. I'm like on a Disney theme, I think. It's like a forest with all like the gnarly, branches and no leaves and dark.
And so how do you feel about that?
Not so good. Not a place I want to spend any time.
Okay, well, so let that go.
Yeah.
And walk down the other path, path B, and tell me about that path.
Okay, so that path is leading me towards just a beautiful creek or a small river. Water's flowing over rocks, and it's making that really, really beautiful sound.
And how do you feel about that one?
Really good. I just feel really relaxed and calm here.
Okay. So which of those paths would you choose?
Absolutely the B, the river.
Okay. When I asked Leanne the first guide prompt about the structure, what I was asking her is to give me a baseline image of your business. Your business at this time, right? So the structure was tapping into what your business is like. And it's a castle, it's Cinderella's castle, which is kind of a nice image. It's fairly elaborate, but also whimsical and fun. And if there's anything you would change, would be to make it even more colorful. All right. Now, when I asked you about the two paths, path A represented individuals. Path B represented corporate clients. Your choice was pretty clear.
Yeah.
Because instead of going after individuals, which would take you into a dark forest with gnarly branches and didn't feel so good, the corporate clients was the beautiful what was it?
Yeah, like a stream with a
A beautiful creek. That's what it was. A small river, and it was making a beautiful sound, and there was just really no choice between the two, right? So I think I would say that the choice is clear, that you would go after corporate clients this year and not individuals.
Yeah. So, okay, so you knew what was behind your questions. I didn't.
Right. So what I did is I set it up. I wrote these things down on a piece of paper, and as I was asking you, I held them in my mind, right? I held the real question in my mind, and I asked you the guide prompt that was connected with that question.
Okay.
Do you understand? So the structure was connected with what your business looks like right now.
Right.
Path A was connected with individuals. Path B was connected with corporate clients. So I was holding those in my mind, but since your ego mind doesn't, the power of this process is that it gets the ego mind out of the way, because the ego mind, a lot of times, if you're asking particularly important questions, has a lot of baggage that can color and distort the images that you get. But since you're kind of pushing that aside with permission, right? What you're getting is a much deeper, undistorted kind of image that tells you something about what the actual choice is. Yes? And then what we do is we re-engage our ego mind to be able to interpret the image in the context of the question.
So that's how Jeanne could ask somebody working in a store just these random, what seeming seems like random questions because in her mind, she's got the base choices.
That's right. She was holding the alternatives in her mind.
Right.
And so since we are all connected, I mean, the images that whoever she was doing the imaging with comes up with gave insight to the real issue or the real question or the real alternative. You with me?
Yeah. So is it typically, I mean, I would say that mine went really clear, right? Like one was definitely a direction I didn't want to go, and one was definitely a pleasant direction, right? Is it typically like that? Like if I was kind of undecided, would you just keep asking more questions to help define it? Or is it pretty simple like that? I mean, that was simple. That took no time at all.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the question needs to be clear.
Mhm.
Second, it needs to be something that means something to you. If you just ask a frivolous question, you might get, garbage in response. So if you have a clear question, and make sure it's not a compound question, which is like, should I do this and this in the same question? So you have to have a clear question. It has to be something that is a meaningful question and not frivolous. Then you generally get good responses. When you don't, it means it's probably not time to decide, for instance.
Oh, okay.
I just did this process with one of our friends from the Evolutionary Leaders who's trying to decide where she was going to spend the summer writing and where she was going to move to. And most of the answers were clear, but some of them weren't. But what we finally determined was it just really, this is something we ought to come back to about 2 months from now, when the timing is a little bit better, and then we could probably get clearer answers. So I'd like to do this with the group.
Okay, wait, I have one more question.
Okay.
Okay, so can I do this with myself by myself? Or do you
You
need
can.
a partner to do it with?
No, you don't need a partner to do it with. Explaining the solo process is a little bit more complicated, but
Okay.
what you need is if you get index cards, I'd really like the 5x7 index cards. Make sure they're not the white ones, because when you write something on one side of the index card, you can generally cheat by holding it up to the light and you can see what you've written on the other side. But if you get the colored ones, that are green or yellow or orange, that kind of thing, when what you write on one side, you can't see on the other. So if you're doing a question where you're choosing between alternatives, then what you would do is just write each alternative on a separate card, and you have to have 3. Why do you have to have 3? In your case, we could have done corporate clients, individuals, and then not clear.
Okay.
But it's like a shell game, because what you're going to do is once you write the alternatives on one side of the card, you're going to turn them over. You're going to choose in your own mind a guide prompt, walk down a path, meet a person, get a message, go to a movie, see a flower, whatever it is. You'll do that for each of the cards, but you'll do that imaging for each of the 3 cards before turning them over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you've got complete images for each card, then you turn them over, and then you match up the alternative with the image. And you've already also made a choice, I'm sure, in between those images, or if you've ranked them somehow. And that's how you can use this to make decisions on a solo basis. You can also use this for general questions like insight into relationships, where am I on my life path, all sorts of different financial issues that you're facing. You just need to make sure, if you're doing it with the index cards, that you have at least 3 questions, so you can mix them.
Right.
So if you only have two, your mind will never lose touch of which question is which.
Right.
Once you use the third question, then you can mix them up, and your ego mind can lose track of what's what, and then you can do the imaging before you turn the cards back over, and you can get these beautiful responses. When I first learned the process, that's how I practiced. I practiced with these index cards, and I used to keep a stack of questions, that would, sit there for days. So I didn't know what question was on the back of the card. And then I would just choose one when I had time, and I would do the imaging and then see what it was. So,
Oh, that's a great idea to just really practice it and really get good at it.
yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
it does make sense.
By the way, I will be teaching a course on this. If anybody is interested, we'll be teaching a course on this. It will start on May 21st, and it will have 3 sessions, May 21st, May 28th, and June 4th. So if you are interested, you could send me an email, and we'll put you on the list. I'm also the book.
Yeah, cue up the book.
This was a book that was that I wrote basically about the experience that we had with the SWAT team inside DuPont. And it was published in 1997. And regrettably, it still was a little bit ahead of its time. So the book is currently out of publication, but what I'm doing is I'm taking the book that I have, I am converting it to a PDF. I've got a person that is slicing the book open for me and scanning each page and converting it to a PDF, which I'll be able to offer online for people who are taking the course.
Oh, wonderful. All right, let's do it. Let's open this up to the whole group.
Okay. For the group, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask 3 simple questions.
Okay.
And we'll give you a couple minutes after each question to jot down some notes, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you what each question meant, and we will go from there. So the first question is, if you're ready, now make sure that you just relax, have fun, kind of silence the inner critic, and just let it, whatever comes, come. Okay, so you ready? Here we go. Imagine that you're walking down a path. Describe the path and where it is leading you. I'm going to use Leanne as kind of my guide here.
I'm done.
Ready to go on?
Yep.
Okay. The second question is, meet a person or an entity on the path and describe who you meet. Can be anyone. Okay.
Yep.
Just if you're not completely done, what you've jotted down will jog your memory. So I'm going to go on to the third one. Now, this person or entity that you just met gives you a gift, and it's something precious. What is it? Okay. All right, this time I'm going to see if I can share my screen here.
Okay, we got it.
This is the imaging framework that I used with Leanne. See what I did? I wrote down a question and then the guide prompt. So what I did with you guys was this. The first question, when I asked you to walk down a path, the path that you saw, and then I asked you to see where it was leading, represents your current life path. Okay. So you might want to just make a note that the first question about the path represents your current life path.
Okay.
The second question, what the entity or the person that you met represented your higher self.
Oh.
And I just want to add that this is somebody that you can return to a later date. The images that you get carry energy. So, and you can go back and interact with them. So for instance, this person or entity that you just saw as your higher self, you can go back and in your imagination, you can interact with this entity or this person. You can ask questions, you can get advice. It's a very useful thing to be able to do. And the third question was the gift that you were given, something precious. It was a gift that you had to share with the world. So now, one of the things about the images is that they come through as images that come from a deep place inside of you. One of the things that happens when we do this process inside of workshops is that we do a workshop we call Pathway to the Open Heart, and it's a 3-day process where people go very deep in connecting with each other. We always do this process in the beginning because what happens is that these images come from a deep place, and when you share them with each other, you're sharing from a very deep place. You've already gone way below the surface and you're sharing from a deep place. So as we go back into the group and you share, for instance, what you got in terms of your path, you're going to be telling people something about your life path and where you're headed, or who your higher self is, or what gift it is that you have to share with the world. And none of you is required to share it, but I'm going to open the group up and ask who would like to share what you got. Because
Okay,
it's kind of,
I need to let people start their video and unmute. Get the ball rolling. I'm going to do myself. Is that all right?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so the answer to the first about the path is where I walk daily, and it led to the Parthenon.
Ooh.
And then who I saw was Jesus on a horse. And what my gift was the precious gift he gave to me was frankincense and myrrh.
okay. So the thing
What
about the
that?
images is that you have to engage your rational mind to interpret the images. So the path that you were on led to the Parthenon. What does the Parthenon symbolize for you?
Well, I was just at a replica of it this past weekend. So beauty, power, peace, victory.
And in addition to that, I mean, the ancient Greeks and the Parthenon, that's like where our Western civilization was born in some respects. So it also is a connection with ancient wisdom, right?
I agree. The classics.
So your higher self, you saw Jesus on a horse, which is a little bit odd, but a horse represents strength and power. Yeah. If it was a winged horse, it would be even something different. But obviously, Jesus is mastery and strength. So I mean, that's beautiful. Frankincense and myrrh were blessings to offer to the people in ceremonial spaces. So what you're doing every Thursday night with co-creators conversions in these conversations is you're offering a gift, you're offering a blessing to the world.
Wow.
That contains your ancient wisdom, the wisdom that you have to share with people. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And, when we say, this is CCC is to share your gift to the shifting humanity. That's, for Barbara Marks Hubbard, Barbara, that's her. Yeah. That's one of the first questions she asked us, what is your gift to the shifted humanity? And I said, I got a gift.
So it's beautiful. I mean, your images actually bring that forward, but you see how they can go very deep very quickly.
Wow, yes.
And so as you unpack and kind of pull back the layers on what they mean, it provides this brilliant insight. So maybe we should take a question. I think Gail had her hand up first.
Yeah, Gail, go. You need to unmute, my dear.
Hi.
Hi.
I don't have a question. I was going to share my responses.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the path is a path in the woods, and it's leading me out of the woods into an opened space field, like a prairie. And the person that I meet along the way is a healthy young man with a backpack. And the gift is a bottle of water from his backpack. And I'm not connecting to that yet. I'm trying to figure out what that one means.
Okay, well, let's unpack it. You were going from the forest into a clearing. So the forest is an image of your depth of your own psyche, perhaps. But it also can be like you've been in the forest, you've been kind of in a protected space, you're coming into the clearing, maybe you're getting ready to emerge into something larger. The person you saw as your higher self was a young man, a young, vigorous man with a backpack. So maybe you are going to be traveling a little bit more. Perhaps the backpack has got tools that you're going to be bringing with you into this space that you're emerging into. Water is, water is the elixir of life, basically. It's a feminine energy, right? So help me out, people. I mean, there's other associations that you can come up with for water. Who would like to share something?
Liquid light.
What was that, Jeannie?
Said water is liquid light.
Yeah, our friend, beautiful Painted Arrow, would always say to us, water is liquid light. When you take a bath or you take a shower, you're immersing yourself or showering yourself off with this liquid light.
And water.
But it's a very feminine image. The water is, because water is also represents the womb of the mother, right? So there's maybe some connection with something maybe getting ready to be born. I don't know, something that you're giving birth to.
And it makes me think of, life flowing and freedom. What I think of.
Thank you.
I think of water as emotions, and water is life. Julie reminds us.
Yeah.
Right. That's so cool. Okay, let's go with Cindy next, because Cindy, I know wants to share and wasn't sure about how to raise that hand on the platform.
All right, she could unmute.
Okay, okay, I just did, yep. So, I was very surprised, quite shocked actually. I still feel the emotions over it, and I don't know what it means. Well, maybe I do. Okay, so the answer to your first question was, the path is leading me to an horizon that is brightly colored at the end. I don't know, it's, just some bright colors, more pastel-y colors, I guess. And then the answer to the next one is who will I meet? And this one kind of surprised me, but sure, why not? I met my gorgeous partner who was standing there as in a glow. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. And the answer to the next one is the gift. So his gift to me is his heart. It's not something physical, but a knowing and a feeling. And it's just like, and he's an amazing man. It was, it was him that brought me from America to Australia almost 4 years ago. And we're growing together. So anyway, I like that imagery. It was very good.
Do you have any questions about it? I mean, the path was leading to a bright horizon with multiple colors like a rainbow.
Well, I think it's, I'm sure I know, because we're both working towards, oh my God, our understanding of life, who we are, our purpose. We're very much into non-duality understanding. And why we're here is to play the game. Why not? Got to make the best of what we're here and just experience everything, no matter how it shows up. Enjoy, and that's why we're here. So I think it's that we're going to continue on that path. Now, what's at the end of the horizon? Maybe it's our awakening. Maybe it's a vision of what we're trying to build for ourselves.
Did you have a good feeling about it?
Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
So that it's important to also, go and say, how did I feel about this image? Was it positive or was it not? And it sounds to me like since the person you met was your higher self, that there's really a deep spiritual bond between the two of you. And the gift of the heart is something you're sharing with each other, but it's also something that you, Cindy, have to share with the world too. I mean, you obviously are able to get into your emotions fairly readily, right? Because what you're sharing in the group right now, it's just very, that it's just right on the surface. I mean, your heart is right there. So that's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful to be able to offer that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, John.
So thank you.
So cool. Thank you, Cindy. Wow. I think Olivia has had her hand up.
Yes, thank you, John. This is wonderful. I would love to share what I also imagined or intuited, if I may, and have your help. My path was, I wasn't on the path, I was going on a shortcut across the grass, which had been sort of mowed, but not really. And it was beautiful, and I was going to a very sacred arbor that I know. And I met this beautiful long-haired cat that was really elegant and beautiful. And the gift that she gave me was to allow me to really pet her and to show my love and my joy, because I love cats. And it made me feel wonderful. And I've been, struggling because I'm facing surgery in a couple of weeks. And so this uplifted me. It just made me feel, oh, I'm nice. So
Well, I hope your surgery comes
thanks.
out wonderfully well, and everything is good about that. It seems like you are taking a shortcut in life, which is kind of nice. I mean, it also shows that you are not afraid to push the boundaries a bit. I mean, you didn't stay on the bed. You got to cross the bed. And so, I mean, I think that just shows me that you have a mind of your own. Cats. Okay, so what do cats mean for you? I mean, you like cats. You have probably a bond with cats, but there's a symbolism to cat, to what a cat means. Can you, what do they mean to you?
Well, I love cats, particularly Siamese cats. And I had a protector Siamese cat that used to keep me very safe. And I also love the feel of their fur and the way that a cat can really comfort you, and there could be a mutual comfort. I love the cat right up there on the couch with my, thank you. And they make me happy. They make me happy. And I hope to get another cat when I'm not traveling as much.
Okay.
And I think they're very intelligent.
Obviously, and cats kind of rule the house, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes,
they let you pet them only when they want to be petted.
exactly.
So so you've got a cat energy as kind of a higher guide,
Mhm.
and you can draw on that energy to interact with when you have questions. I mean, it sounds kind of funny, but you can, in your imagination, you can interact with, say, your guardian cat, your guardian Siamese cat, and say, ask a question and see what kind of response you get. So that's one of the ways you can use that. But okay, the gift was being able to pet the cat. So being able to approach the cat, show your affection. So maybe one of the gifts you have with the world is being able to express your feelings and express your emotions and care for people in the way that you would care for a cat.
Mhm.
And that, if you're not approachable, a cat's not going to let you pet him. So it says something about you as well.
Mhm.
Does that help?
Very good. Thank you very much.
So cool. How about you, Bob? Your hand's up.
Sure. This is fun and very enlightening. And I, excuse me, I think I found my way into the first two questions, but third answer seems like a abrupt 90-degree turn. So I appreciate your help, John. The path was in a pasture, full of flowers, very colorful, just a bright, pleasant walk, right and pleasant journey. And where I was going was to ancient ruins. And I don't know what that was or specifics about it or anything else. I just wrote down ancient ruins. Who I met on the path was an elder farmer. And so that's that. But the gift, the gift that he handed me was the key to a restored 75-year-old tractor, farm tractor. And then after you revealed what the questions or what these different three questions, current life path, my higher self, and gift that I have to share with the world, I'm a little confused as to whether I'm supposed to be sharing a key to a tractor with the world.
Well, I mean, I think it all kind of connects, really.
Okay.
Just like Noel saw the Parthenon, you saw ancient ruins. So there is still this connection with ancient cultures, ancient wisdom is something that you are being able to, I mean, your path is leading you there. But every Thursday, I mean, you guys connect with something that draws things together and offers insight and wisdom that comes from perhaps long ago to the people that are on the call. The elder farmer is somebody, I mean, what is farming about? It's about cultivating things, right? And what are you doing on these calls? I mean, you're cultivating this, what's next for the shift in consciousness. You're cultivating that. And what's a tool that can be used in cultivating is a tractor. I mean, so a tractor is something that's quite powerful. It can pull wagons, it can pull, the plows, it can pull things that are cultivating, it can pull harvesters. I mean, so it's a very useful tool to be able to cultivate, plant, harvest, all the things that you're doing. So, I mean, that's a gift that you're, I mean, it's exemplified every week. I mean, so here you go. I mean, I think it all fits together.
Well, thank you, John. I obviously was thinking of it more literally. And, when I see the current life path and going towards ancient ruins, the first reflection I had on that was my continued curiosity. What are ancient ruins? What are they? What do I learn from that? What does civilization learn from that history unearthed? And so I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
John, I definitely need help on mine.
Okay.
I don't know what's with my imagination tonight. It's running rampant, but okay. So the first thing, I can make sense of this. So the first question, the current life path, I was on a beautiful natural nature path, small, like rounded stones, comfortable to walk on. And it was leading to a cliff, and I could just like see forever. And it was this beautiful vista. And this is where I need help. John Wayne was on my path. I don't think of John Wayne, and he was like in his full like Western garb, and he was just standing there, kind of tough ass kind of John Wayne. And then my gift to give to the world, I've never seen one of these in person, so I don't even know how big it is, but it was a gold bullion, and it was very sparkly, and it had a beautiful red ribbon and like a Christmassy red big bow on it. So
Okay. Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun?
It really is. And it's just like, where the heck is this stuff coming from?
It comes from someplace deep inside you, and sometimes it's surprising. It's kind of scintillating in a way, but it's fun. So, like the path that Bob was on, it was a pleasant path, right?
For sure.
It was a place that you really. So right off the bat, that says where you are in your life path is fairly enjoyable. You didn't seem like you were you weren't going to fall off the cliff. You had an amazing view or perspective, an overview, which is something that you also have. It's something you do for your clients as well, as you are able to look out and have this overview. Sometimes you bring in these mystical insights to draw upon as well, and the paintings that you do, I mean, they're all beautiful. So John Wayne had swagger. He had lots and lots of appeal to many, many people. He represented strength, right? So, I mean, all of those qualities are things that you can draw on. You're mighty pretty when you're angry, little lady, right? So that kind of thing. But it's something that you can have fun with in interacting with John Wayne. And when you were done with the call and you have some leisure time, whatever, you can go back to this and say, why, why in the heck did you show up for me? You can
Right.
begin to ask questions and get deeper insights.
Okay.
Now, the gift you have to the world, the gold bullion that was very sparkly, I mean, it's pretty clear. I mean, what you have to offer people is precious, right? What you have to offer people will probably help them make money. Yeah. In being able to clarify what they're doing and to beautify and to have marketing, the marketing thrust they need to make it successful. It's precious. So that's a gift that you have to offer the world.
Might I also offer a reflection, Leanne?
Sure.
As soon as you said the word red ribbon or something like that, I went back to the weekend in Nashville, and then you mentioned gold and the power of Mary Magdalene and all the artwork that we saw over the centuries that related to Mary Magdalene, the power of that, the preciousness, to use your word, John, the preciousness of gold was present throughout a lot of that artwork and a lot of what we were learning about and journeying about a couple of weekends ago.
Yeah, and red is the color in the system we were taught anyway. It's the color of the north. It's the spiritual, right? So when we do ceremonies in the Native American tradition, we wrap things in red cloth. It's like wrapping it in spiritual energy. So wrapping, with the red bow on it, there's something also spiritual that is the gift that you have to offer other people. Make sense?
I'm going to get my John Wayne impression down.
Yeah, and the swagger.
You're
And the
a
swagger
star, Leanne.
walking across the room, right? So
Yeah, I didn't know he was in there, but he's in there. Thanks, John.
you're welcome.
Anybody?
Kathy.
Oh, good, Kathy.
Okay, so my number one was I was walking this incredibly manicured, beautiful path in the Rocky Mountains that there were aspen and pine trees, and the path went through up and down and then to a lake. And it just pristine, just looked like glass. So gorgeous. And the sun was going down, and so you could see the reflection. You could see the clouds reflecting into the lake. It was just like magical. And then I met a man that looked like a wizard, like Merlin, like a long gray beard and long gray hair. And I mean, he wasn't dirty. He wasn't homeless, a homeless guy with long gray hair and a beard. This was a manicured, magical man. And then he gave me a heart-shaped quartz rock that was just beautiful. It was about that big.
Was it clear quartz or red?
Clear
red
quartz.
Red
But it had, even though it was natural looking, it looked like it had been carved.
Okay. Yeah, so Colorado and the Rocky Mountains and Lake San Cristobal and all that, that's one of the favorite places for Jeanne and I to go to. It's just beautiful, beautiful countryside and very expansive, right? And there's not many places that you can look up and see what we call a Colorado blue sky. I don't know if it's Colorado you're talking about.
Yes, I live in Boulder.
Oh, okay, Boulder, yeah, one of our favorite places in the world.
Yeah.
But the Colorado blue sky is just amazing. So yeah, I mean, it says that the path that you are on is something that takes in all of that expansiveness, all the richness of the aspens and the pine trees and the Rocky Mountains and the grandeur of all of that. It's a very nice image of the path that you're on. And the lake also, I mean, the lake again is the water, is the womb, it's the elixir of life, it's the mother, it's the ability to give birth to new things. So all of that is encoded with the lake. Now the wizard, what could you ask for? I mean, what more could you ask for in terms of in terms of your higher self and being able to go back to the wizard and saying, you know, help me with this issue, help me with this problem, help me with this health issue that I'm experiencing right now. So I would recommend that you also go back and practice interacting with, you know, the wizard, see what the wizard has to tell you. Just like John Wayne has something to tell Leanne. And the crystals are powerful receivers and transmitters of spiritual and psychic energy. I mean, you probably have crystals around your house, right?
You think?
Yeah, there you go. So, so what does that say about the gift that you have to offer the world? I mean, I'll just ask you that question.
That it's multifaceted and that it brings light.
Yeah, perfect. And that there's a lot of spiritual energy there too.
Yeah.
And maybe you have this, maybe you also have an ability with, you know, psychic ability. I mean, we all have psychic ability to some extent.
You think?
Some of us have
Doesn't
it.
know me at all. Okay, yeah, you got it. Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, and
So
Jeanne,
Yeah, I just didn't, we're getting close to time that we're going to close. And I noticed someone had a question early on, and I thought the answer better come from you, John, rather than me. It was Kate who was asking if the guide prompt and the question are the same. That's
No.
that's okay. That's one item for you to answer. And then the other item is some are asking, what is the name of the workshop you're going to do in May? Or do you know?
Well, it'll be called Intuitive Imagery. Anybody who sends me an email that's interested, I will send you more information on the course. Okay.
I'll put the email in the chat.
I'm going to share my screen one more time and share I think this was it. Yeah. So, Kate, the question, whoops, how do I get rid of that? You see the question here, when I say the key, what I'm talking about, it's the key question, and I call it the key question because it's the key to unlock the meaning of your image, all right? So the key is the real question, your current life path. The guide prompt is different from it. You understand? The guide prompt is connected with this question, but instead of asking you, imagine that you are walking down a path that represents your path, your path in life. I just said, imagine that you're walking on a path, but it's different. It's just a place to get the mind started. I could have asked you to just open a door. I could have asked you just to get an image, as long as it was connected in my mind with what this real question was. You understand? The higher self was the real question, but meeting a person or an entity was the guide prompt.
mm-hmm.
A gift that you had to share with the world was the real question, but I just prompted you that you were given a gift. I didn't tell you what the gift was about. So they are connected, but they're separate. Is that clear? Does it?
Yeah, so the questions, they can all be unique. They can all be different. Like you said, you could have had us opening a door. You could have had us doing any number of things.
Yeah, I could have changed these guide prompts. I could have said, go to the movies and see and tell me what movie you're watching.
Okay.
And the movie you're watching would have had something to say about your current life path.
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah.
Instead of prompting you to receive a gift, I could have said, get a message. And the message could have said something about what the gift was that you had to share with the world. So the guide prompts can be different as long as they're connected with the questions. You know, you can use any number of guide prompts. Open a door, walk down a path, see an animal, meet a person, get a message. Actually, the guide prompts are only limited by your own imagination. Having said that, I will tell you that some of them work better for some things than others. But we could have started anywhere. Okay? I hope that helps.
That's what I love about this, is that you use your imagination through this process, and that bypasses the ego. So I love it.
Now, you know, Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge, because knowledge is limited, imagination is not. So we are using the imagination to harness the intuition and to go to a deeper place inside of us and bring up these answers, bring up these images, go very deep, very quickly.
John, can you say more about, I know you're in the process of getting this book into a PDF form.
Yeah.
So we could email you and you can kind of keep people up to date on when that's going to be available.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it'll be available by the end of next week.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because he's using it as almost like a textbook in a way for his course that he's going to do in a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So people who are taking the course, I will, I'll send the PDF copy of the book out in advance for people to look at.
Okay.
What time are you going to be having these? I know you have the dates, May 21, 28, and June 4th. What time of day? It's going to be a Zoom sort of thing?
It's going to be a Zoom sort of thing. It'll probably be in the, either start at noontime or like 1 o'clock. It'll
That's
go
Eastern.
It'll
It's
go
Eastern.
Eastern time, yeah.
Eastern? Okay.
And each of the 3 sessions will last from 2.5 to 3 hours, I think.
Midday allows for those that are overseas to be able to participate, which is one of the reasons we do that. We know it's a little earlier for you guys in Colorado and even earlier for those in California, but we've learned from experience it's a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
wonderful.
I said something in the chat. If anybody is interested in becoming part of that course, John, I just went ahead and said email you.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we'll just go from there. Yeah.
I also want to put that John is available to do private sessions, both with Intuitive Imagery and with his Mystical Numerology. Both are profound and powerful. Just email him. And I'm going to say what the email is: JB Pehrson, Pehrson @gmail.com.
Right.
So I just want to get that into the record here. This has been so much fun, you guys. This has been a blast.
It really has. I didn't know what we were in for, John.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It has been a joy being with all of you. And I want to thank Noel and Bob for the powerful work that you do every Thursday. And thank you to Leanne for being my shepherd through this process.
Oh, this has been wonderful. Everyone, you can unmute and give John a little thank you. I didn't thank you for your interpretation of my silliness, but that was wonderful, John. That was really fabulous. So highly recommend it.
Well, it was this silliness that created what has now almost, what is it now, 28, 29 years of marriage now?
Well, since 1995. So, yeah.
Don't get it wrong, John. Don't get it wrong.
28 years. 28 years.
Well, thank you,
a
everyone. Do you
great
have any
evening.
closing comments you'd like to say, Leanne or John, before we close out for this beautiful evening together?
Just to
Thank
thank John.
And Leanne.
What was that, Mike?
Thank you, John and Leanne, and thank you, Bob and Noel, for your work in our Justice Committee and on this Thursday night session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you.
guys.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Next Thursday,
Bye.
another amazing speaker.
Big hugs to everybody.
Thank you.
Peace prevail on earth.